Hello, everybody. My name is Clarence Napier, the president at Strategic Consulting Experts, based in Georgia and soon to be an LLC in the state of Georgia. Today is October 19th, 2025, and Strategic Consulting Experts used to be 321 Biz Development, a company I started in California on November 1st, 2024. And now we are entering a new era and helping small business owners, salespeople, and those salespeople selling products and services at $1,000 and higher, and salespersons who own commissions at $1,000 and higher. Strategic Consulting Experts is also the home of mastering the 5 front-end sales activities, which include contacting, prospecting, setting appointments, closing, and getting zero-cost referrals. Today's podcast episode is why you are reluctant to being assertive in your business. And like I mentioned, we are entering a new era. And this podcast episode is almost like talk to self type episode, because I need to increase even my business efforts. And I know what the deal is. And just over the weekend, I had a chance to listen to some people that talked about, mindset issues. And I thought about it and I said, wait a minute, this is something I need to add to the 6 to 9 hour sales system training that I offer via webinar or in person. So why are people reluctant to being assertive in their businesses? And so the first thing you need to ask yourself is, do you believe in your business? Does your business really help people? Does your business leave people in a better position with your product or service than without your product or service? So those are the basic type questions you need to ask. But if you go deeper than that, it's like you went to school or you learned a trade. Let's say you went to school for personal injury attorney or CPA or dentistry or plastic surgeon. And so you went to school for 4 years. Then you probably completed 2 to 4 more years, maybe a little more years than that. Maybe if you are a CPA, you had to work at a company for 2 to 4 years so you can get those hours working for a big firm. And if you are a dentist, you went to school for 4 years and another 2 to 4 years or 6 years at dental school. And when people come out of these learning institutions, people say, well, I didn't get into the business to make a little bit of money. You chose that occupation, that industry, so that you could have access or the ability or capability to earn 6 figures or more. Otherwise, why choose an industry if you're not going to grasp it, take it by the horns, and max out with it? The same thing is true for the blue collar trades. If you went to school to learn construction, you learned welding, you learned carpentry, and you have a lot of certificates. Well, you didn't do all that. You didn't go to school for 2 to 4, 3, 4, 5 years. And maybe you built some homes. Maybe you did a lot of big plumbing project. You didn't start that business. And I'm not talking about union type work. I'm talking about self-employment where you have to find your own customers. You have to contact and prospect, and you have to sit in front of the person who's going to pay you. And you have to put forth great effort with professionalism so they can write you that check for $2,500 or $3,700 or $8,500. So you got to say, what is stopping me from taking the bull by the horns by saying, okay, let's say your average transaction is $3,000. What is stopping you from, given the time that you can max out per month, what is stopping you from making $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 per month if you have enough time to do those many transactions? And basically what it boils down to is that we are looking for permission to be successful. Now, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a motivational speaker. In fact, I tell people before motivation speaking works, you have to build the skills first. You know, I went to some motivational training long time ago, even before I was in corporate America. And what happened with me and what happened to the majority of people that go to motivational seminars is that they get all pumped up and they're red hot, fired up, ready to go. And then they leave, and then by the end of the next week, they're right where they were before the motivational training. You know, still not knowing how to find customers. So in contrast, what I recommend to people is learn your skill. Learn the skill. You know, when I say skill, I don't mean how to tighten that bolt, how to do that Invisalign. I'm talking about learn the skill of how to generate business. Like I mentioned, strategic consulting experts, we have a 6 to 9 hour webinar or face-to-face, like a conference room type training if it's a group. And that's where you get to learn how to contact, prospect, set appointments, close, and get zero cost referrals. So in that contacting, prospecting phase and step 4, the closing phase, that's where you gain this confidence. That's where you say to yourself, my product is worth something. I do deserve to make $3,000 per transaction. I can, with my confidence and skill set, I can put together 5 to 8 transactions per month at $3,000 per transaction. But what happens when I see every single day, and that's the reason why I'm doing this episode, and because even I am personally impacted by the thoughts and the things that go to your head that say, oh no, I can't do it, or I don't feel like doing it. Well, see, that's the curse that we are under sometimes. That's what we are influenced by, negative things that tell us we can't do it. Or we don't have the external stimulus, which means the sales system training, to jump in and say, okay, I know that this first process of contacting and prospecting is probably not the sexiest thing to do, but you have to do it. Now, here's the kicker about contacting and prospecting. It's not just how you look at it as a salesperson. You got to look at it from the perspective of the person who's being contacted and the person that's being prospected. You see, because just about everyone is looking for your product or service. But because of social media, because of, all these different psychological obstacles in our way, people who are looking, they have to sometimes search, pick up the phone book, or I don't think they use a phone book. Sometimes they use social media, but most of the time they just call someone. They ask someone like who's close to them. Who's a good estate planning attorney? Do you know a good bookkeeper? Who's the best realtor that you use to buy your house or sell your house? And recently I entered into the tech hardware industry with the Silicon Valley company. And I learned a lot working with that company because they didn't really have a sales system. And I figured that out when the tech CEO pretty much fumbled the ball on a $400,000 purchase. And I had to use the skill sets that I learned in corporate America and through my own business with 321 Business Development and now Strategic Consulting Experts. I had to use those skills to bring the two people back together. And it was at that time I said to myself, wait a minute. These things that we have to do to grow our business, they look and feel like unpleasant. They do. When you think about what you have to do, it's like unpleasant. It feels that way. But when you get down to the nitty gritty and say, what do I have to do to contact someone? What is that? In public, that's a hi, that's a hello. Over the phone, it's maybe a 20-second, 30-second conversation to see if you have found a person who might need your product or service. Pretty much that's it. So you have to ask yourself, what are the risks and rewards of being assertive in your business? The risk might be the person says no. That's the biggest risk. No, Clarence, I'm not interested in that product, or, I don't have time to talk about it. Okay. And you're done. What is the reward? The reward might be, you know what? I was just asking my assistant about finding someone who does that. So when you get down to the nitty gritty, like I said, to be assertive in your business, let's say if you can make $20,000 by moving your product or service into the next person's hands so that he or she can benefit from your expertise. So out of 50 people, let's say you needed one of those per month to meet your financial objectives, just for that 1 month. Are you willing to be assertive enough to have, let's say out of 40 people that you reach out to, 39 say no? And I don't mean no in a very vicious way. I mean, no. Oh, sorry, Matt. I'm not interested in that product at this time. Or you meet somebody in person at the bank, coffee shop, dry cleaners, grocery store. Yeah, I'm not interested in that time, but I'll take your card. I think what it is that many people feel like there's great danger in contacting and prospecting. But that is the most assertive that you can be in your business, and you want to repeat that. You want to repeat that and improve the learning curve of how you contact and prospect and how you close. And Strategic Consulting Experts is here to help you. Like I said, this podcast episode is really a note to self, because I already know what to do. Sometimes I'm on my game, sometimes I'm off. And when I'm off, I'll make an episode like this for myself, because I already know what to do. But, we have our highs and lows as human beings. We have distractions. We have situations that we deal with. And that's why if you're out there alone and you want to reach out to someone, especially for the training, because two heads are better than one. And if you're going through it, other people are going through it. The reason why I know is because I know what to do and I go through it. So thank you for watching and listening. If you want to reach out to me, I'm at 989 Strategy. That's 989-787-7834. Take care and have a great week.